G'day ladies and gents, and welcome to the most overpowered plane in the entire game. Yes, it's not the CL-13. No, it is not the Bf-109G2, the Yak-9T, the Spitfire LF Mark 9, you name it, whatever. It is indeed a 1.7 Tier 2 German fighter, the Heinkel 100D. Now, personally for me, this is probably my go-to plane when I want to club people, because not only are you clubbing biplanes, but you're also clubbing people who have played like one or two RB games. So, yeah, if you ever want to stomp on puppies, then the Heinkel 100D is perfect for you. This game is probably the best way to exemplify that, because I'm in a full down tier, and no one on the enemy team knows what they're doing at all. Essentially, this plane has something like battle rating 5.0 performance, maybe battle rating 4.0 performance, but it has 3 rifle caliber machine guns, and so the plane gets put at 1.7, because at that tier, everyone turns with everything, and planes that boom and zoom tend to be the ones that get left out. They're the ones that tend to sort of be less noob friendly, and as a result, they tend to do more poorly in the hands of newbies. But for me, with something like 35,000 matches under my belt, I know exactly what I'm doing with this thing. And it's just a massive club fest. You can see that I'm putting in something like a 10-degree climb, maybe a 15-degree climb, climbing at about 400 kilometers per hour. And that's about as much as some planes get at that battle rating as a top speed. So you can already see where this plane is starting to be a little bit on the too powerful side. And then you think about what it faces, and it faces things like the SB2U, which can't even hold its own at its own battle rating, let alone against the Heinkel 100, which has so much more going for it. Planes like the MS-406 down there are also a little bit of a victim to this thing because they just can't keep up. This thing was designed as a race plane, and it is really, really interesting, actually, how the cooling system works. So, for those of you who don't know, the Heinkel company was looking at making a little racing plane for the air races that were really, really common in the 1930s. And what they decided was to streamline the airframe so much that they wouldn't even have radiators externally. So what they did was they put, I believe it was just water, straight into several aqueducts or pipes or whatever you want to call them, that would go along the engine block, take the heat from the engine block, and then distribute it out to the wings, which I thought was amazing. That's such a cool, interesting design that no one has really thought about before. So this worked really, really well for a plane that didn't see any combat, but as soon as they decided to strap guns to it, and as soon as it started to take damage, it really, really suffers. And in-game, that shows quite easily. As soon as you take a single hit, you'll have a fuel leak, and that's because or an oil leak rather, because that's where all the engine engine cooling system is in the wings and in the fuselage, and so you cannot get hit in this plane at all. Otherwise, you will just fall. You'll just fall so far, so hard, and it's just incredible how quickly your engine conks out once you've been hit even once. But in saying that, if you know what you're doing, like myself, pulling head-ons with Xbox noobs and in biplanes, you have a real tendency to absolutely kick everyone's shit in just because of the plane's raw performance and the ability of you to aim. Speaking of aim, I'm not doing terribly good on that Fury, but I need more gun time, and whilst I'm toying with my prey, I'm turn fighting with a Fury. I'm still sitting on his tail because he's just not experienced enough. And there's my 6th kill in a matter of something like 4 minutes. It's insane in the right hands. But it rarely sees combat in the right hands, and that's the problem with the Heinkel 100, and that's why it's at 1.7. Otherwise, it'd be at something like 2.3, maybe something a little bit more, because it takes so much damage very, very poorly. Even a slight tap by base AA, which you will see in this match. I eventually get killed by base AA, which is kind of sad, but it is a really, really fun plane. Especially if you just keep your speed, don't overheat your oil, don't overheat your water, don't run that WEP too much, pick your battles, and boom and zoom, and you can really, really mess up a whole bunch of newbie players. And I don't know why, but I don't do this often, but it's very, very satisfying. It's a little bit cruel, but every time you click on someone's player card and you see they're like a level 50 coming back to low tier, they're looking to club some noobs and you kick their shit in, it's a little bit more satisfying personally. But yeah, it's just the miracle of the plane. It's such a fun little machine, and I think a lot of people really overlook low tier just because the machines aren't as strong or aren't as good. But I think the combat is a lot more enjoyable, in all honesty. Even if you go differentiate between props and jets. And there's that hit with the AA. And you can see I'm already leaking oil and water. And the only things that have been hit are the wings and tail. And a little bit of the center fuselage. Now, this is pretty much where I go down. And this is where the match ends for me. But I've basically killed most of the enemy team. So it's a pretty clear victory. I go for the ram. And I get him. Yeah. That was a really, really nice game for me. And it was a lot of fun to play. But, yeah. I might make a couple more videos on low tier just because it's so fun. And seeing as though I'm trying to do 2 videos a week, that might actually help me a little bit. Help me gather some footage once I've expended the millions of gigabytes of fucking video that I have left. Anyway, guys. Take care. And I'll catch you next time. Just, don't be too aggressive in low tier. Take it easy. Keep the noobs playing. See you guys.